Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development. Lawrence Kohlberg, a psychologist from the United States, was one of the first to study moral development. Kohlberg proposed that humans develop moral judgments in 6 stages, based on Jean Piaget's initial ideas. Kohlberg proposed that people advance through the phases in a hierarchical sequence as their cognitive capacities grow by superimposing the participants' reasoning onto their cognitive development.
According to Lawrence Kohlberg's theory, our moral reasoning develops and matures throughout the 6 stages that are divided into 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. The first level of moral development is the pre-conventional level. In this level, our moral reasoning is compared to a child, where our behavior is based on reciprocity, reward, and or punishment. The first 2 stages belong to this level. The first stage is the punishment and obedience orientation, where it is explained that good actions are rewarded and bad actions are punished. Let us take this for an example. Annie considers playing outside as a bad thing because whenever she does it, her mom always scolds her. Annie now will obey her mom to not play outside to avoid punishment. The second stage is the instrumental purpose orientation. It explained that individuals focused on satisfying their needs. One of the best questions to describe this is, what will I get in return? For instance, Brooke helped his mom in doing the household chores because she promised her more screen time. The advantage of more screen time drove Brooke to help her mom.
The second level of moral development is the conventional level. Conformity to the social rules remain important to the individuals. The individual is in accordance with what is generally done or believed and aware of societal rules in order to remain social standing and order. The third stage is the good boy and girl orientation. It explained that the individual's behavior is based on the social approval or being a good person. For instance, in examination, you will not talk unless you are cold so that the teacher will not be angry. The next stage is the law and order orientation, explaining directly that we must obey the rules so that the individuals have the duty to uphold the law. Like in the streets, there are so many laws. In order to obey that law, you must follow the rules.
The third level of moral development is post-conventional level, where individuals enter the highest level of moral development. They are concerned with the innate rights of the individual that are guided by their own ethical principles. The fifth stage is the social contract orientation, which views the laws and rules as flexible rules. For instance, you will choose that the responsibility because it is everyone's interest. If it's belief majority rules. The last stage of moral development is the universal ethical principle orientation, when individuals consider universally accepted ethical principles. Right action is now defined as in terms of logical comprehensiveness and etc.
Soren Kierkegaard's 3 spheres of existence.
Kierkegaard, often regarded as the father of existentialism, claimed that in order for one to develop into their true self, they must pass through the 3 stages of life. These stages were the aesthetic, the ethical, and finally, the religious. Once an individual has passed through these stages, they have become complete. They are true and they are aware of what exactly is involved in each stage.
Starting with the static stage, we understand aesthetics to be concerned with art and beauty, but Kierkegaard characterized the aesthetic stage as being solely focused on sense experience. The aesthetic stage for the individual is immersing themselves in pleasure. It is a type of hedonism, looking for anything that will cure one's boredom to bring excitement and delight into their lives, but at the same time, it is self-serving. It is devoid of any deeper meaning in the ascetic stage. The individual only cares about themselves and maximizing their sensory pleasure. It does not acknowledge a community and their role in something larger than themselves. All individuals must go through the ascetic stage, but you should never remain in this stage. Indefinitely, life is greater than hedonistic pleasures, and an individual needs to be concerned with more than just themselves.
Stage 2. The ethical. What's involved in stage 2 is where the individual sees themselves as part of something bigger than themselves. The individual will start to see themselves as part of a community and start understanding the social norms. It's called the ethical because in stage 2, an individual becomes aware of good and evil. They develop personal responsibility as well as a commitment and responsibility to others. This can be characterized as having a children and co-worker, people who rely on you. In stage 2, we have risen above a concern of just yourself and your pleasure, but you are now part of a bigger community, and there are bigger principles and social norms that you are now. Submitting to your motivations are more than your sensory desires and appetites. Ethical makes one's life bigger and more meaningful.
The third and final stage to becoming your true self is the religious stage. Ultimately, this is the part where we start to understand that we are all a small part in the infinite creation of God, and is the stage where we develop complete and utter faith in the existence of God once an individual has found it. This faith that they have reached, which is the third stage of religion, is therefore the highest stage in human existence. This is a fascinating theory, and we can really understand where Kierkegaard is coming from. We see the three stages mirrored in everyday life all the time when we are young and immersed in the aesthetic stage, where we want to play with friends, we want to go out, we want to party. But as we grow older, we are fully into the ethical stage. Most of the people in this stage will get jobs, they will get married, they will start a family, and some might get mortgages. Here, they develop responsibilities. They develop principles, they follow laws and social norms, and they immerse themselves in a wider community. Meanwhile, in the so-called religious stage, it does not essentially really involve any particular deity or belief system. Rather, it's all about progressing past the previous two stages in life and on to something more profound and pulsating. This final stage involves something more of a leap of faith. This leap of faith may involve embracing a deity or sometimes a belief in something that you may not be able to prove to others. It involves the kind of faith or confidence that comes from an internal passion and excitement. And it is the kind of belief that moves you because it is utterly individual and unique.